because the break is over. We get you set for the Oilers and the Kings on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. What's up, everybody? Tom Gazzola, Shawn, Belle with you. Hernan, Salas inside the EST studios. Oh, and Joaquin Gage is here today. Lovely to see.
Sharing his festive cheer.
Yes, quite festive and cheerful. We said, Gager, it's nice to have you here. And you know what he said? I know. And then right before we started, Hernan goes, you know what? It's nice to have everybody in the studio.
Yeah.
Guess what, Nanso? I know. I love it. I love it.
And
it's
then he
great.
strutted away.
Oh, yeah, he strutted away.
Yeah,
but Hernan's very humble. Not like Joaquin. Joaquin just strutting away because he knows it's going to be good to have everyone in the studios. I hope everyone enjoyed their break. And if you didn't catch Hello Hockey, welcome back. We get going again as the Oilers continue their schedule, taking on the LA Kings. First of a back-to-back set in the LA area. They'll take on the Ducks tomorrow, 2 o'clock start as well. We'll be on the air with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show at 1 p.m. as well. Of course, GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Join the conversation. Hit us up on the text line 780-218-9999 or get into the nasty chat on YouTube. And we have hit 11,000 subscribers on YouTube. Here, round of clicks. Dusty will have to eat pickled herring.
I'm so excited for that.
On the air, I believe. If he backs out of this one, look out, boy.
Yeah. I mean, he has every right to do so. I would be trying to back out of it.
Me too. I wouldn't agree to it in the first place.
There's controversy, though. Should I even get to it?
Yes, you should. You should get yourself on camera here.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, here we go. Hernan Salas.
Oh, boy.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, look at that guy.
Yeah, because I don't know if we did it before midnight. And I'm on Dusty's side on this one.
Really?
Like, was anyone monitoring?
I don't know.
I don't know if anybody was.
That's the thing.
I saw Jay Milne put the challenge up. I saw Wanek text in something about it. And all I saw the next time I looked at our YouTube channel was 11,100 subscribers.
Yeah.
The only reason I don't think it's official, boys, is because Iwanek hasn't chimed in. And he is kind of the keeper of everything that's kind of legit here. Like, hey, we did it at this time. We did it at this time. And right now, I don't know because I saw it the next day too, Tom.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
was like, did we do it before midnight?
He's quite diligent with that stuff.
He is quite diligent. But I would say in the defense of everybody else, you surpassed by 100. It's not like you went over by 11,001.
Yeah.
Like this is 11,100. So you crushed it.
Crushed it.
Okay.
What say you?
Another first today.
What's that?
Our guy, Tommy Gazzola, tried fa for the
I loved it.
It's amazing.
I couldn't believe he never had
Either.
I call it faux. I'm sorry.
Which is fine. But I've actually I'm surprised that he's never had it before.
It was very good. I saved some for later. I couldn't finish. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
You absolutely destroyed it.
Yeah, but you were working. I was eating.
Yeah. It was lovely. We're going to have a great afternoon.
Put the boots to that thing.
Yeah, you did. The Oilers are going to try to put the boots to the LA Kings, a very good LA Kings team this season. They've been hanging around. And Hernan, before we went on the air, said, oh my God, they're going to play each other again in the playoffs.
I hope
know.
not. I mean, there's a lot of season left, boys, but I want the Oilers to finish first. Home ice.
7 points back.
Don't play the Kings again because, and you made a good point, Winnipeg was never able to break through back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
But the Kings eventually will.
Kings have a good team.
Do you honestly think they will, though? It's like you've got to deal with McDavid and Draisaitl and company. Like this team they have higher end talent than the Kings. And usually if that higher end talent is working, the way that the Oilers have been working in the playoffs the last couple of years, it usually prevails.
Interesting. Yeah, but we've seen it, man. Like we've seen top teams fall. Remember Tampa Bay against Columbus?
Yeah.
Like different situations, I get it. Like
that was epic.
Yeah,
that was epic.
LA is not Columbus, but
But they are very stingy defensively, so I understand where you're going. But you got to figure out a way to shut down McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah.
Right? Like
you only have to shut down Kempe because he's an Oiler killer.
Yeah, and this is just my opinion, but like if you look back at the Lightning and Columbus series, Kucherov and Stamkos is not McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
So that would be my one rebuttal to that, but I get where you're coming from for sure. And goaltenders do get hot. Teams get hot.
They do.
And I'm also tired of just seeing them play in the first round.
I'm not.
You like it?
I don't mind it, but like I understand where that sentiment comes from.
Yeah.
And I understand why the doubt would creep in. But there was some of that going into the postseason last year.
Yes.
And then the Oilers handled it in 5.
Yeah.
What say you? 780-218-9999. Oilers and Kings back in action. Back-to-back afternoon games for the Oil. Bronx, the Boilermaker, says it wasn't by midnight. Dusty posted just before midnight. So I guess he's backing out of it. I didn't see. I've been staying off of social media.
Oh, that's what I mean. Like, if anyone had eyes on midnight, was it the 25th? 24th, 25th?
I think
25th, wasn't it?
25th, I think, yeah.
If anyone had eyes at midnight, that's the true number right there. No one knows.
And Dusty had eyes on it.
Yes.
Of course he had eyes.
Because he's like, I'm not eating that stuff.
But you think he'd say it on social media. Like, hey, guys, I'm happy we hit, but we didn't hit by the deadline, so I'm not eating this. So I don't know, man. If Dusty's listening, what's up, bro?
Yeah, what's up, bro?
Yeah.
Stanley in YYC says, we're back. Big test today. Boys going to need to be prepared. Hope you all had a great Christmas. Go Oilers. Stanley now in YEG, waiting patiently to go to the New Year's Eve game. That is against the Utah Hockey Club. Today the focus is the Los Angeles Kings. Edmonton and LA meeting for the first of 4 this season. Edmonton 21-11-2 this year so far. The Kings 19-10-5. Hernan, we're going to do a question of the day, put it out there to the listeners and the viewers, and then get some thoughts from Bellsy. Then we'll go into starting lineups, and then we're going to get into game changers, and then we're going to get Dennis Bernstein on here. It's going to be a fun show, and away we go with the question of the day. What do you got, Nancito?
All right. I know it's not the halfway point, but it's after the Christmas break, so I look at it as the second half of the season. Okay, boys?
I get it.
So let's just go with that. So in the second half of the season, starting today, of these 5 options, who's going to have the biggest bounce back in the second half?
Ooh.
Adam Henrique, Victor Arvidsson, Jeff Skinner, Evan Bouchard, other. What say you, Nasties?
Oh, very good.
Ooh.
You want to take a crack at that? Because I have one in mind already.
I'm going to go with Victor Arvidsson.
Okay.
Really?
I think that he's going to play in your top 6.
Okay.
He's going to be saddled with one of the 2 big boys. And
problem to
he's
have.
going to find a way to contribute. And for the fact that he barely has played in the first half, if he even gets to 20 goals, that instantly makes him the biggest bounce back guy.
Now, in fairness, I know he only has 3 goals, but he's missed a ton of time. But I guess, but he still can bounce back and double
100%.
up. Yeah.
Because like Bouchard's been around, he's played, he's been hot, he's been cold, he's been kind of all over the map. So like he would just be like correcting his course, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Because he would be my vote for that question.
Really?
And it would be, but Bellsy's right. He's correcting his course, and that bounce back would have a huge impact, especially defensively for this team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they need
too.
him to just get like Bouchard. They need him to be just better defensively.
But that's what he does in latter parts of the season. It's like a slow
he just
burn.
A big game player? Is he a playoff player?
Yes, the answer is yes.
But so is Arvidsson.
Yeah.
And Arvidsson's been a thorn in people's sides, aka the Oilers, for a long time.
I'm not like it's a good question. That's why it creates a good debate.
So who else was on that list? Henrique,
because he like I don't expect a lot, but his production's been terrible this year.
Yeah,
Correct.
And then Jeff Skinner, a guy that I like and I want to see back in the top 6. I think there's something there. Like Gager said on EST Afternoons, like this guy might shine in the playoffs. Like that's where he might show his true worth. So, or other, because I know a lot of people are not happy with Nuge.
I'm going to throw this one at you for Skinner. And Gager, if you hear this, you can chime in if you would like to. Is there any point for Skinner to supplant somebody in the top 6 that's currently there? He's not going to move out Hyman.
No chance.
He's not moving out Podkolzin.
That's the one
That's the one, though.
But Dry loves playing with this guy.
But Belzy, it's been 11 games. He has
don't
3 assists.
Disagree.
At one point, you have to move that guy off that line.
Hey,
I think it's like you have to platoon system on that line with Draisaitl.
What does Skinner? And we've talked about this at length.
Yeah.
The 3 of us. But what does Skinner do that is now going to make Podkolzin be removed from that line?
Well,
Because it's not
provides
like he's
offense.
Start scoring.
But he's not. But he doesn't provide that work ethic that a Draisaitl needs. He needs somebody to go get him the pucks.
Yeah, he does not go get the pucks.
He doesn't go get pucks. He needs somebody to go get him a puck.
Yes.
Move it to him. He can make his play from there, or he's going to score.
Yeah.
But
Kapanen.
I'd still like to see Arvidsson, Draisaitl, Skinner. Give him 10 games. And if it doesn't work, then make your moves.
hey, that would be nice if they gave that line 10 games, but we know this coaching staff would switch it up after half a game.
That's
if it
the
ain't
thing.
going that way.
Yeah.
We've just
that
seen
is
it.
very fair.
That's the MO, right? Like,
Well, that's the only thing that I worry about with Skinner is that, like, I sit there and I say, okay, well, what do you provide? And I know that they brought him in to score more goals, so I'm not going to dismiss that. But at the same time, these stars, they have certain traits. They want certain things done. If you look at McDavid, he rides, or Hyman rides shotgun to him because Hyman works, he gets to the right areas,
Yeah.
he helps get him the puck, and then he allows McDavid to shine. So, like, I look at that and I say, I'm not putting Podkolzin in the same breath as Hyman, but I'm asking that question: if you're going to put Skinner there, is he going to go get you the puck? Because I can guarantee you he's not. Is it Kapanen going to stay there? Because Kapanen will, and he plays with a ton of speed, and he's actually given that line a little bit of a different look.
he has been a pleasant surprise.
I agree with everything you're saying, Bellsy, but at one point, you have to produce on that line. And you're not getting it from
I
Podkolzin.
couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Jeff Skinner on the fourth line, sometimes third line, has one more point than Podkolzin does, who's played primarily on the second line all year.
So Bellsy pick
Arvidsson.
I went with Bouchard.
Okay, I'll say Jeff Skinner. What say you? Let us know, 780-218-9999 or on the Nasty Chat. Henrique, Bouchard, Skinner, Arvidsson, or other, who's going to have the biggest bounce back in the second half of the season for the Oilers?
Rob from LA chimes in. 93 needs the biggest bounce back. 93, yeah. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins so far this year, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points through 33 games. If he was at 24 to 26 points right now, nobody would be saying anything, I don't think. He had a slow start. I think he's been a little bit better lately, but when he's not effective, what is missing from his game outside of production? Like, what's he not doing, Bellsy, when you watch Ryan Nugent-Hopkins?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to try not to rip the guy too hard here, but, like, for me, Nuge needs to be engaged at all times. And I don't mean by producing points, but he needs to be a guy that's going to move his feet. If he's not moving his feet, like, that's the very first thing that comes to mind with Nuge. If he's not on his game. And because he's kind of a cerebral player. He makes the right plays when he needs to. He's got an underrated shot. He's a good passer, but it all starts by him moving his feet. And I find that sometimes, with Nuge, he gets caught watching a little bit too much.
I get it. Yeah,
for me,
that.
I think that he's got to watch less and just go out and play. And, is it him being in a situation where he's maybe the third line center, where he can now just go out and play maybe against guys that are, at his high end of competition? And I'm not taking a shot at Nuge. I'm just saying I'm putting him into a spot where now maybe he can start to flourish.
And we did see Henrique
game
play wing before.
Yeah, and then you put somebody else obviously into the top 6, but it's he's coming around. It's just
this just popped in my head. What if Henrique could fill in on the second line left wing? You move Nugent-Hopkins or somebody. I don't know. It's just a thought. Anyway, that's a good question of the day. Hernan, well done, sir.
Thank you.
Really well done. Thank you, he says. What say you? Who are you looking for to have the biggest bounce back in the second half of the year? It was Bouchard, Arvidsson, Henrique, Nugent-Hopkins, or other. Text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well.
James Barrels said Podkolzin's outscoring Nuge 5-5. That's incorrect. Nuge has one more point at even strength points. 12 versus 11 for Podkolzin. So
Okay.
he was just trying to make that Podkolzin scoring more. He's not.
Yeah, he's not.
But okay.
But
could dive into that.
I know.
But, like-
I know. It's 1 point.
We all I realize that part, but like we sit here and we're like Podkolzin's not producing,
He is.
but at the same time you look at this, and I would say that Nuge is an ultra trusted player on this hockey team.
Yeah.
And he's only got 12. And Podkolzin,
strength.
when he came in, I'm like a reclamation project.
Kind of, yeah.
And the other part is just the whole picture. Nuge is on the number one power play.
Yeah.
No, so I think he should be a bounce back guy.
Yeah.
I understand. That's a good one.
Yeah, very
It's
good.
a good
question.
one.
Yeah.
Let's get to starting lineups brought to you by South Fort Chev. Upgrade your sleigh with South Fort Chevrolet in the month of December. Reserve your 2025 Equinox Trax and Traverse now. They won't last long. They've also got 2025 Silverado Customs with payments starting as low as $199 bi-weekly. See dealer for details at www.southfortchev.com. Here's what we're anticipating for the Oilers today. McDavid between Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl with Podkolzin and Arvidsson. Henrique with Kapanen and Brown. Janmark centering Skinner and Perry. That means no Derek Ryan tonight. Or today, I should say. Ekholm paired up with Bouchard, Nurse with Stetcher, Kulak with Emberson. As for the LA Kings, here's what we're anticipating from them. Anze Kopitar with Alex Turcotte and Adrian Kempe. Quentin Byfield with Warren Fogle and Tanner Jeannot. Philip Deneau between Kevin Fiala and Alex Laferriere. Deneau, by the way, was a little bit nicked up, so we'll confirm. I haven't seen anything on X. Haven't been following too closely on that so far today. Samuel Hellenius with Andre Lee and Akil Thomas. The Kings on the defensive side of things will have Mikey Anderson paired up with Vladislav Gavrikov. Joel Edmondson with Brant Clark, who's having a very good year. Jacob Moverare with Jordan Spence. And that takes us to your starting goalies. For the Oilers, we're anticipating 26-year-old Stu Skinner to get the start. 13-8-2, 285 goals against average, 895 save percentage, one shutout in 23 games this season. Skinner versus LA, very good numbers. 5-2 record, 189 goals against average, 943 save percentage, one shutout in 8 appearances versus Los Angeles in his career. And then at the other end of the rink, we anticipate it being 34-year-old Darcy Kemper, 8-2-5 this season, 240 goals against average, 911 save percentage, one shutout in 16 games this season. Kemper versus Edmonton, also very good numbers. 10-3-4 record, 248 goals against average, 918 save percentage with a shutout in the 17 games he's played against Edmonton in his career. Anything stand out to you guys there about the lineups that you want to point out?
I like that Arvidsson's back with Dry. I really do. I know he had a good game with McDavid, but that's going to go back to Nuge. Why mess with something that's not broken?
Yep.
And capping on the third, it gives him more pace up and down. And then, I don't mind the bottom 6 guys. There's a little bit more speed. There's some skill. But I love that Arvidsson's back with Draisaitl. I'm intrigued to see that line play with Podkolzin. Hopefully he can dig out some pucks and feed the boys.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be ideal, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You couldn't even keep a straight face with that one, eh?
Well
I
done.
like Podkolzin.
I like him too. I'm not like people you don't
love
like
it.
him. It's like no,
But
no,
if
no.
any other player had the production he does on Draisaitl's line, he'd be getting torched. I just don't get why. Like, it's a talking point. That's all I'm saying.
It
Absolutely.
is a talking point. I
Absolutely.
get a kick out of it because it's all the time with us, but it is what it is.
Yeah. It's the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Oilers and Kings, Gazzola, Belle, and Salas with you. Let's go into the Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy injury report. At Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy, we treat you like the pros. Our multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians, along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. Whether you're recovering from an injury or looking to enhance performance, we treat you like a pro using the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game. Alec Regula still on the IR, waiting for him to get healthy. The knee issue, obviously, and Evander Kane IR abdominal surgery for LA, guys. Some good players on this injured list for them. Drew Doughty with the IR fractured ankle. Trevor Moore He's banged up now. That news came down today. He's day-to-day upper body. Trevor Lewis has been on IR, lower body for some time. Arthur Kaliyev, fractured clavicle, also on IR. Drew Doughty, hell of a hockey player. And, they're doing quite well without him. And what did he get hurt? First game of the year? No, preseason.
Preseason.
Yeah, that sucks. And, they're only going to get better. Trevor Moore, I think, is a great player, too. I think he's one of those guys that goes under the radar a little bit. But that's going to hurt.
Yep.
And then Trevor Lewis, veteran, and Kaliyev, who's been around for a while, also out of action there. So the Oilers relatively healthy compared to LA. Tell us what you think. 780-218-9999. All right, time now to get into Game Changers with Shawn, Belle, our game analyst. Game Changers brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Damon Bunting, consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian Remax realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Check him out, damonbunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. Belle Z, number 1 today against LA. Pick up where you left off.
Yeah, outside of maybe a few games here in the last little bit, the Oilers have been playing really good hockey. I would say in their last 25 games, they're 17-7-1, which is a really good record. I would put that at the top of the league. So for the Oilers, they just need to do what they've been doing. They've been skating. They've been putting goals in the net. Obviously, they've been capitalizing, which is one of the biggest things. And obviously, in particular, Zach Hyman, he's getting the same looks, but now he's capitalizing. And so for the Oilers, they're playing a team that they know very well. It's a hardworking team. It's a stingy team. But when the Oilers are skating and moving pucks crisply, not, where they're fumbling it all the time, and they can get on the forecheck, they're a hard team to beat. And obviously with the record that I just mentioned at 17-7-1 in the last 25, you're doing good things. So for me, the holiday season's over.
Yep.
Get back to rolling. And because you want to try to catch the Golden Knights and be in that top spot. And kind of like Nanso was talking about earlier, you want to see them number 1 because you want them to have that home ice advantage once it gets to the playoffs.
Well, they've been talking about it for a while. That's what they want. They talked about it at the end of last season when they lost Game 7 of the Cup final. Maybe get home ice, maybe clinch the division. Vegas running away with it right now, 7 points up on Edmonton going into action today. Nanso, last weekend, they win 3-2 against San Jose in overtime. Then they win that game on Sunday 3-1 against Ottawa. Kind of take care of business. Even with Cat, it was kind of ho-hum.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, okay. Do we read too much into that when we look at those wins and the results? I know San Jose has 1 win in its last 10. Or do you go, you know what, they're going into the Christmas break and maybe they're not too dialed in, unfortunately, but they got the wins.
They went in on a 3-game win streak. That's all you can ask for. And yeah, I do think that kind of weighs on the players. They're in the Christmas spirit, I guess. Their families are here. I think you said there's a bunch of families around
Reed
the
was
team.
saying that,
yeah. So it's probably it's hard to maybe stay focused. I know they get paid millions of dollars to stay focused, but because that game against Ottawa was a dud, man. That was one of the worst games I've seen this year.
Well, I looked at Cass a couple times on the post here. He's like, yeah, they won. They're happy.
Well, that's the thing is you gotta get the wins that you're supposed to.
Right.
Yeah. And those are the difference. So, those games where people are uninterested, and it happens in the NHL, people become uninterested in certain times. If you get those wins, those might be the difference between you potentially locking that first, position up in your division, or potentially not. And, we can sit here and we can be like, man, we need to have the best game ever.
Yeah.
It's not always going to happen, but if you're getting the wins, that matters.
Yeah.
So
it's a good problem to have.
It is.
When you're not playing great, quote unquote, but you get victories.
You're not going to get their A game every game, guys. You're not. And I'm interested this afternoon. You're seeing the Florida Panthers kind of have the turkey legs today, like Cass likes to call it. Will the Kings have them? Will the Edmonton Oilers? Who knows, right? And this is going to be a tough game for both teams, I think. I think it's going to be slow to start, kind of feeling each other out, and then they'll get into that rhythm. You know what's interesting, guys? Last year on December 30th, the Oilers beat the Kings in LA in a shootout. Ooh. They were down 2-0, came back and found their way. So it's very similar to last year. We'll see if they can find a similar result without the extra point.
I actually really like this matchup for a game after the holiday
to come back
because it's an instant rivalry game. It's a meaningful
Yeah.
game on both sides, which will segue to point two.
Yep.
But it's something that will get you a little bit more hyped up for a game. If this was like, and no disrespect to this team, but like the Utah Hockey Club coming in, or you're going to Utah at 2:00, you don't have the same level of energy as you do against potentially the Kings, because this is a team that you saw in the playoffs for a number of years. And I'll allow you to segue into the second point.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Point number 2, potential playoff matchup.
There you go. So
No.
it's something that we've seen over the last number of years. It's a team that, yes, the Oilers had their number this last playoffs, but they've been pushed to the brink. And that was when, the Kings were a 1-3-1 team. They were a little bit more boring to play against.
Absolutely, they were.
They just tried to play super stingy hockey. Now they've kind of unlocked their offense, and I feel like that's been something that people have always talked about. Well, they can't score, but now they're scoring, and they're still playing that same stingy D. So you have this team that you potentially could see in the playoffs, and if you see a team like this in the playoffs, you're like, ooh, that's tough. So it is a big game, and I think it's a perfect test for after the holiday.
The LA Kings were taken care of in 7 a couple of years ago, then 6 2 years ago, and then last year it was in 5. So if the Oilers play them again for a 4th consecutive playoff, would they not beat them in 4?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm just messing.
You guys agree that this game probably means more to LA than it does the Oilers?
It might, but it shouldn't.
No, but like very close. But where LA is like, man, we can't beat these guys in the playoffs. I don't care if it's regular season. Let's beat them. Let's start.
Maybe. It could be.
Yeah, I understand what you're thinking there. I just think it's become such a massive rivalry at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Like both teams there's a little bit of bad blood there.
I like
dating
that.
back to when Mikey Anderson did the old horse collar on Draisaitl.
Oh, yeah. The high ankle sprain. I think that was the result.
So there is bad blood. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, who was really good for the rivalry and they let him go? Dursey.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was surprised by that.
Yeah.
But the Kings have a good lineup. Like, this is also a Warren Fogle, Victor Arvidsson revenge game.
The swap.
The swap, kind of.
Fogle scores tonight?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Arvidsson scores today?
Oh, yeah.
Both scored today.
Who would it mean more for? Arvidsson or
I think Fogle.
You think so?
Yeah, because Arvidsson missed so much time when he was a King.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
He wasn't in those playoff battles. I think he missed the majority of those series against Edmonton.
Played in a few games, but that's about it.
Yeah, like last year he got into a few. But, man, I think for Fogle being here for, 3-4 seasons, he integrated really well with the group. Nice guy.
Yep.
Had a career year last year. What do you have? 20-20. He had a 40-point season. Best year. Cashes in with the Kings and seems to have fit in seamlessly there. So I think for Fogle a little bit, there might be a little more jam.
Yeah.
But I could see Arvidsson wanting to stick it to his old team.
And they got to win, the Oilers. It's the mom's trip.
It is the mom's trip.
Oh, there
They
you
get
go.
A couple of days in,
even more.
in LA. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. All right. It is Game Changers with our game analyst, Shawn Belle. Game Changers is always brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Point number 1 was pick up where you left off. Point number 2, potential playoff matchup. Point number 3, Bellsy, special teams.
Yeah, special teams. I know that the Oilers' power play has been better as of late. Their PK has been better. I think there was a number of games where they didn't give up a PK goal. Yes, their percentage is still not very good on the
26th
PK,
in the league.
but you got to go up. You only can go up from where they were. So you want to continue to see that exact same trend. The Oilers have had historic power plays, and whether you can get back to that number or not, you still want to punish teams for committing, egregious plays on some of your top players.
Sure.
And if you can now capitalize on the power play, and you can get your power play, let's just, for argument's sake, like the 28%, teams will now think a little bit differently on how they want to play you. Are they going to play you as hard? Are they going to try to, clutch and grab? But if they know that you're not scoring, well, then it's easier to have that gamble. Like, well, okay, maybe I'll take that penalty because they're not scoring. But if the Oilers can start to find the rhythm and get up and start to creep into the 25, 28%, well, now it's a completely different game because teams are going to be a little bit more hesitant to do that. And on the flip side, continue killing off those penalties because now you're starting to take away the lanes. You're finding the right angles. You're keeping teams to the outside. And we all know, and we've talked about this multiple times, Tom, is that all top power plays, they want to go through the seam. They want to cross that road so they can increase your chance of scoring.
Yes.
And the Oilers, when they were leaking goals, well, what were they doing? They were allowing those plays to happen
all the time.
And they were getting seamed like crazy, and now they're not. And go figure, they're actually doing a lot better on the PK. So you want to see that trend continue. The
special teams, if you're thinking about this point of the matchup, LA's power play is 25th in the NHL at 15.9%. Their PK is 11th, so pretty good at 81.7. And like Bellsy was alluding to, the power play is starting to climb the ladder. It fell to 16th. It was 11th against Ottawa going into action on Sunday. It's at 21.6%. And then the PK, although it has put together a nice string in the last month or so, it's only 26.
Yeah.
At 74.7%.
That's how bad they were.
It was awful. They were at 59% like 3 weeks into the season. 59% on the PK. Now, a couple of indicators, like obviously, like killing off all the penalties in a 7-game stretch was a hell of a run. And then they've added a couple of shorties in there too.
Yep.
So not only are they killing, but they're adding a little bit of offense, which is nice. I know I can't remember which team had 7 or PK goals, but it might have been Florida when we were looking at those stats. But a little small sign that it's starting to come around for the Oilers on the PK. All right, that is Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting, Remax Elite. Good stuff there from Bellsy. Point 1, pick up where you left off. Point 2, potential playoff matchup. Point 3, special teams. You can text us 780-218-9999. What say you going into this Oilers-Kings matchup? And then you can get into the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tom Gazzola, Shawn, Belle, Hernan, Salas with you, and I can see the man, the myth, the legend, our Kings insider, Dennis Bernstein from Crypto.com Arena. He's ready to go. Nanso, we're good to bring him on? Yeah? Thumbs up. All right, let's go to Crypto.com Arena. Dennis Bernstein, our good friend and always one of the best guys to bring on. How are you, DB? How was the holidays?
If the playoffs started tonight,
I got my finger to the pulse of the Kings fan.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
The playoffs started tonight. You know what it would be.
I know. Do you think it's destiny these two teams are going to face each other for a 4th consecutive spring, or do you think maybe something could happen?
One word, Vegas. Depends how Vegas looks really good.
Yeah.
Like last night, the Sharks are a better team, right? They played great for 2 periods, and then they imposed their will on one going away. 2 shorthanded goals in 23 seconds. I think it comes down to Vegas. But yes, right now, if I had to bet, I would bet on round 4, Kings and Oilers.
Oh, wow.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you know what that means? We get Dennis here.
Yeah, I know it. Hey, I had a great time last June. It's a party every night, so come on.
Exactly.
I wasn't complaining.
He feels at home here. I know. DB.
I would have liked the team closer than Florida to Edmonton, but, what are you going to do?
I know. Okay, this LA Kings team, I mean, they're hanging in there. They've had a very solid start. They've added some nice pieces. Under Jim Hiller, they've had a good run here. In your opinion, DB, why have they been able to maintain that level of success so far this year?
Defense, simple as that. 3rd best goals against in the league. They limit their high danger chances, so you don't need a Vasilevsky or a Bobrovsky or Shesterkin in the system to be an effective goaltender. So they've gotten 9-15% save percentage from Kemper. Rittich is a little below 900, but he's still winning games. So it's a simple fact. They're not the most exciting team in the world. They're not the most boring team in the world because the 1-3-1 is gone. So guys like our buddy Mark Spector can't complain about that anymore. but it's an average offensive team. I think they're 13th or 14th in scoring, and that will be the challenge to the Kings with the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs. Will they be good enough offensively? Quentin Byfield had a breakthrough season last year, but only has 6 goals this year, so it's been a little challenging the back end of the road trip offensively for this team. But defensively, they're as good as there is in the league right now, boys.
DB, like you mentioned that they got rid of the 1-3-1, but they're still very stingy defensively. Like, what would be the one tweak to the system that you would notice the most that the Kings are doing so well to make sure that they're as stingy as they are?
Yeah, Belsey, I think that going from the 1-3-1 to the 1-2-2, it doesn't put the back defenseman on an island. That's a really like when you have Drew Doughty, maybe it's easier to do 1-3-1, but guys like Mikey Anderson and Jordan Spence, I talked about it. There's a lot of responsibility. You're the last man up on a 1-3-1. It's a lot to do. It's more. There's more physicality to it because you're the last man back there. So I think it's taken pressure off them. And this commitment, look, Warren, I know you guys know Warren Fogle really well.
Yeah.
Warren's a really good defensive forward. Like, he's committed to playing defense. Like, so his angles on defense, he's doing great offensively. But this team, has bought into what Jim Hiller is selling. And it's a little bit different than Todd because the system's changed a little bit. He uses, he plays 11-7 a lot. He wants his forwards to have more ice time. But I just think that this team has bought into what Jim Hiller is selling from a defensive standpoint. But again, I think if they're going to do any damage in the postseason, Belsey, they have to be better offensively. Both the players they have now and maybe adding a player at the trade deadline.
Dennis Bernstein joining us now from the fourth period as we get you set for the Oilers and the Kings. You mentioned Warren Fogle, and he had a breakout year last year. I know people mostly appreciated him. He did have some games where he was a healthy scratch in the playoffs, but how has he amalgamated himself as a King, DB? Because I know in a little burst there you said that he's been pretty good, but how would you describe Fogle's game? 9 goals, 9 assists in 34 games here. How would you describe it?
He's playing like a solid middle six player should. Like, Warren Fogel's not a top line player. He's not. He'll tell him himself. But he's a middle six player in this league without question. And he's playing with Byfield, so he gives Byfield some confidence in having a veteran on there. Certainly, Warren can keep up from a speed standpoint with Byfield. And on the other side, you have Tanner Janelle. So it's an interesting trio they have right now. So Warren, look, he's an honest 200-foot player. He doesn't. You never really see him out of position. So I really like the ad. Like, I think it's a better ad than I liked it in the offseason. But watching Warren, the way he's fit in here, he's a good teammate. He's easy to talk to in the room, as you guys know.
Yep.
It's been a really nice fit. As is, look, I'll say this also. Everybody, including LA, ripped Rob Blake when he signed Joel Edmondson. Joel Edmondson's been damn good for this team. I think he's a plus 14. He scored 4 goals. But Warren's fit in really, really well. I think the role they had envisioned for Warren, he's embraced and done very, very well.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's really good. I mean, it's we talked earlier in the season about the kind of the additions that they made to the team, and it was a concerted effort to get bigger as a team because they felt like they got pushed around in the playoffs. Is that something that you've seen come to fruition? They're not getting pushed around as much. They still have that same speed. Like, what is that roster composition?
Yeah, it's funny. Talk to somebody off the record about it. There's more Western Canadian players on this team this season. So, like, Kemper's Western Canadian. Burrows, who they love as a 7th defenseman from Vancouver, right? Jeannot's from Western Canada. Like, Edmonton from Western Canada. I think that those guys in the room have really improved the mindset of this team. And Belsey, they won't get pushed around. When Evander eventually comes back and he starts stuff in the net, Jeannot's going to go at him. Edmonton's going to go at him, and they didn't have that factor last year. I think it's important. I think Rob Blake knew that, let's be frank, the Kings got bullied last year in the playoffs, without question. And the way this team's made up right now with Jeannot and Edmondson, I don't think they'll be as bullied as much. It's not an overpowering physical team, Belsey, but I think that they were made aware of that in the playoffs last year. And by adding the guys that I mentioned, they've kind of shored up that area.
DB, you're talking about the defense of this Kings team. Commitment to playing the right way in your own zone is important, but you also have to have the horses back there to kind of set the tone. And one guy that has surprised me, and I guess he maybe shouldn't for some people because he's a high-end young player, but Brandt Clark. And what he brings night in, night out. What can you say about a 21-year-old D-man that has put up 19 points so far this season through 34 games?
look, he's got top 10 defensive skill, offensive skill, right? But in this system, guys, he's not going to match Quinn Hughes or Cale Makar in points. The offense isn't good enough. He doesn't have the players around him to do that. What he has done, he's worked on his defense in the offseason. He worked on his gap control. He plays 15 minutes a night, and he's not really out of position. So, look, the offense is going to come, TG. I'm more concerned about the defense, and he looks like he's a much more responsible defensive player. Look, there's some risk in his game. It's always going to be there, and you want that, especially with Drew out.
Yeah.
But it's not at the expense of getting beat up the ice or giving up 2-on-1s. Like, he's been much better defensively. So while you think he's the 7th overall pick, you want to see more eye-popping numbers offensively. He may get there. But I think his overall game, playing 15 minutes a night on the right side with Drew out, has absolutely helped. So I've seen growth from this player. And hopefully in the next 2 or 3 seasons for LA, when Drew maybe starts to decline, that you'll see, Brant play more minutes, play 22 minutes a night, and maybe his offensive numbers will appreciate as well.
DB, speaking of guys declining as they get older, this one, it seems like an ageless wonder, and that is Anze Kopitar. Why? 37 points in 34 games. You know this guy better than pretty much everybody. What makes it tick with him?
A little inside story on him. Like the other night on the road trip, he played really well. And I do, after every game, I do a post-game wrap on the Kings on social media. I do a big picture, small picture, medium picture. Big picture, I said, is Kopitar really going to retire in a season and a half? He's playing so great. He's leading the team in scoring. And so I hinted that maybe he'll play past his contract with expires next year. After the game, from the plane, a guy texts, easy with that big picture. I think it's the end for him. He's in shape. He's still smart. His game, and here's the thing, Tommy. His game was never based on speed.
Right.
He's a good skater, but not a great skater. So the decline in his speed doesn't really factor in his game, and he's playing with an exceptional. Look, Adrian Kempe's back on a 40-goal pace, which really helps. But it's staying in shape. His IQ is there, and the system fits what he does. So am I surprised? Yeah, a little bit. Like you expect some regression, but he just keeps going. His vision's there. Everything, all the other components of his game haven't deteriorated. So while it's a little bit of a surprise, you can't be totally shocked that he's still the team's leading scorer and still the leader of this team.
Yeah, he's been great.
Well, he's been a fantastic player. One that obviously is an up-and-coming player, Quinton Byfield. Where's he been at this year? I know that he's taken steps in the right direction, but is it going to take that true step once Kopitar is gone, or do you see him finding that even with Kopitar, kind of playing in that second spot?
Belzy, you would hope that Byfield turns into the 2 seed, because if you watch, and you may see it today, if you watch Phil Deneau play, he's clearly a 3 seed now. I think he has got 2 or 3 goals this year. They need Quinton to be a 2 seed. Now, here's the challenge with him offensively. Like I mentioned, he has 6 goals. He's looking to make the pretty play, the highlight reel play, the through-the-legs pass. There's too much east-west in his game right now. He needs to be north-south. I always say this. Like, he's not Connor McDavid, right? Who is? But I want him to be the type of center that Austin Matthews is. You know what that is? Shoot first. He needs to be more aggressive with his wrist shot. That's what he needs. And they need him because I mentioned they're an average offensive team. So there's been regression from a point total, but there's 48 games left in the season. It's go time for Quinton. Last year he was 55 points, as you mentioned. That was a real breakout season. He got his bag. He got paid. He's $6.5 million a year. So there's no more excuses about not playing enough or being on an entry-level deal. He needs to be better offensively in the second half if they want to make the playoffs and do damage in the playoffs if they get there.
All right, DB, it is a matinee matchup between 2 Pacific Division rivals, both teams coming off the break. What kind of game are you expecting?
Low-scoring game. It comes down to special teams.
Yeah.
Right. The Kings' penalty kill has been way better, more aggressive, more motion. It's been much more effective. Byfield plays on there now, but the Oilers get 2 power play goals. You know what the final score is going to be? It's going to be in favor of the Oilers. So I think a typical Kings-Oilers game, low-scoring, a lot of defense, and I think it again will come down to special teams. And let me say this: Leon Draisaitl has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like I was saying early in the season, Kaprizov, and I have a heart vote. Kaprizov, it's Leon Draisaitl. He's been so phenomenal. So as much as they have to guard against Connor and what he does out there, Leon's just been massive for this team. So I think it's just another tight game. And again, I think it'll come down to special teams.
DB, always a pleasure. You're massive for this show, and that's why we love you. Have a happy New Year, and thanks for doing this today. Okay.
I'll see you in April.
Yes, of course. It's a date. Dennis Bernstein, our Kings insider, joining us from Crypto.com Arena. The best. He is my favorite.
That's awesome.
We got a double whammy. We got Pagnotta on Hello Hockey earlier, and we got Dennis Bernstein on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. Great stuff from Dennis. He knows the Kings better than anyone, so good to see him, and always appreciate his time. Nanso, what'd you think of what Dennis had to say about this Kings team?
Dennis is a beauty, man.
Yes, he is.
Like, there's, I like Quentin Byfield. I think that's what interested me the most, because he was supposed to have a breakout year, right, guys? Well,
And he kind of had one last year.
He did have
He
one
got
last
paid,
year.
like Dennis was saying, and this year it's kind of...
Yeah, it's kind of I mean, he's not terrible, but I don't think he's living up to the expectations of this year. And he made a good point. He's trying to be too cute out there, I think. But if this guy ever figures it out to his full potential, look out. And I mean, there's guys on this team. Just trying to look at their lines right now. Laferriere,
yeah.
He's having a hell of a year, man. Like he's
a good player. He's skilled.
He's a skilled player. Very good. So this team always gives the Oilers headaches. So I'm intrigued. And and Dennis said, they're not playing the 1-3-1, but defensively they're a solid team, and they're getting the goaltending. So this one's going to be a fun one tonight. And Dennis is always great in breaking down the LA Kings. I met him once, I think, Tom, through you.
Yeah.
Before I left
He's
to the
awesome.
Elks, and absolute beauty. So, but a great breakdown, and this is going to be a fantastic game. I agree with him. I think it will be low scoring, like a 2-1, 3-2 game, because there might be some turkey legs in this one.
The old turkey
The old
legs.
turkey legs. Yeah, gotta love that. Get that tryptophan out of you, boys.
Yeah, exactly. So, Oilers and Kings coming up. I hope it's a high-scoring one, but Dennis is right, man. It might be stingy defense, a little bit sloppy, even though one team, well, they both haven't played since Sunday. The Oilers coming off that 3-1 win over Ottawa, and the Kings lost in Washington on Sunday. So we'll see which team is able to pick up that spark early on. Okay, I need to mention portions of this hour brought to you by Hudson's, Canada's Pub. You're invited to watch any Oilers game, and it's all-day happy hours on Thursdays. Also, they have $6 house draft featuring the new Blueberry Blonde Ale. Book your reservation now at hudsonscanadaspub.com, or just come on down. I think the holiday parties are starting to wind down. Hudson's was getting pretty busy, and now you just come on in, sit down. Don't ask, me or Joaquin at the door where to sit when we're doing a radio show.
Oh, you still get called a bouncer, do you?
Oh yeah, bouncer. That's it. But anyway, Bad Andy says, did DB suggest Oilers and Kings would see each other in the fourth round? No, he meant get ready for round 4 between these two, and that's a fourth straight meeting in the postseason. That's what he meant. Lee says, sweep of the Kings. Bet on it, Tommy. And put a little sprinkle on that, Lee. Hey? And then Jason the Pharmacist says, might look to Derek Ryan needing to bounce back. Kapanen comes in because of an injury, takes Ryan's spot. That's a perfect example of capitalizing on an opportunity. So
not wrong there.
In the other category, because we had, was it Henrique, Nugent-Hopkins, Bouchard, Arvidsson, and other.
But
Jason says,
what would upping Ryan's game look like?
I don't know.
Because, is Kapanen not just a flat-out better player? And that's not a shot at
more
Derek
effective.
Ryan. He's a more effective player for sure. He's got better speed, something the Oilers needed, more skill.
Like, what Ryan adds is his PK.
Yes.
And nothing against Derek Ryan, man. He's been an awesome NHLer.
Yep.
Where he's come from, how he made it into the league.
Yes.
He's been a good part of this Oilers team. It's nothing against Derek Ryan, but I think now where they're at, it's got to be him or Perry. And the way Perry's playing, guys,
Perry's been good.
When they need a shift to get going, who does he put on with Draisaitl and McDavid sometimes? Corey Perry, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't be taking anyone out of the lineup now. Connor Brown's playing well. The janitor, you can't take him out. He's fantastic. Enrique's not going anywhere.
No.
You know what I mean? Pod Colson, he's a lock.
Steven in the nasty chat says, still need Ryan on the face-off dot. Oh, man. VR Montenegro says, what DR10 adds is radical awesomeness.
Yes. Those cool little hats.
And the little chapeaus that he wears. And I also wanted to point out. Stop having fun, you guys. Serious stuff. Montreal handles the Florida Panthers. Someone mentioned the turkey legs and Florida having them today. 4-0.
Oh,
Belsey,
that's a bust of a pick.
on his Saturday picks. Wrong.
What a bust of a pick.
And rookie goaltender picks up his first career win in a shutout against Stanley Cup champs.
That's pretty damn good.
What are you doing, Florida?
You're making you look bad on your Saturday picks.
I'm okay with it because I still got a little loyalty to the Canadiens, but come on, Florida.
In fairness to Belsey, I don't think anyone picked Montreal to win this game.
Very fair.
And if you did, good on you, man. Go play the lottery.
Yeah, exactly.
No kidding.
That's the one score that's in the books. 4-0. Montreal beats Florida. 11 games in the National Hockey League. A lot of early action. We got Seattle taking on Vancouver in Vancouver at 2 o'clock, so in 10 minutes. You got Philly at Anaheim. Then you got Edmonton in LA. And then in the evening, Columbus visits Boston. Washington's in Toronto. Tampa hosts the Rangers. Carolina gets the Devils. Winnipeg and Ottawa, all-Canadian matchup in Winnipeg. The Islanders host the Pens, and then the night wraps up in San Jose. The Flames visiting the Sharks. But so far, it is the Habs with the big upset win over the Florida Panthers 4-0. All right, you can text us 780-218-9999. And you can get into the nasty chat. This text comes in from Bad Andy. Said, Bellsy, you got to talk about that 2005 World Junior game versus Russia. That was some good old Canadian hockey. Please, the floor is yours after what we witnessed yesterday.
Oh.
There's not much to talk about that we haven't talked about, but I would say that we had a goal in mind, and I'm not sure there was anything that would have deviated us from that goal. And it was a solid effort, and it was just, okay, Russia's got a good team. They've got a couple players that are generational in Malkin and Ovechkin, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, we've got to steal a line from Paul Maurice is we need to blank and pound them. And I know that we were talked about on Hello Hockey earlier today, and we, Missing Curfew posted about a minute and 20-second shift, a clip, and it was just like hit after hit after hit after hit, and we just never let teams off the hook. I think our closest game was actually against Czech. I think it was a 3-1 game.
Yeah.
They were actually a pretty good team as well. But yeah, we just, I don't know.
So for people who missed it on Hello Hockey, I only saw the shootout, boys, to be honest. I couldn't believe it was in a shootout. I was like,
Canada was all over Latvia.
So was it just getting goalied? Did they take them lightly to start and then realize, holy crap, we're in this?
Too cute, we were saying.
I think,
earlier.
they were too cute.
Yeah.
They got goalied.
Yes.
They did outplay them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But then the Latvian team was just, they capitalized on opportunity. And the Canadians started a bit of a parade to the box. And what happened? Well, you got a power play, and they scored. They scored twice in the third.
Yeah.
So it was a bunch of different factors that ended up with the win. And I mean, I'm looking at people on Twitter talking about Easton Cowan and the shootout move, but he's pulled that shoot-off move like multiple times throughout the years and scored. So hey, it is what it is. Like,
I saw people losing their minds
Oh.
on the X, and some media members calling it like, well, there was one gentleman who used to be in the media, and he was just all over it, man. Like every terrible word he can use, he threw at these poor Canadian guys, and it's not like. I guess the gist of what I saw a lot was like they were too cute in the shootout, but they were trying to score.
I don't even know if they're being too cute.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Outside of maybe Cowan's move, like a bunch of guys were shooting pucks. So it's not like they were going down and trying the Patrick Kane. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean.
Like at the end of the day, you take out Cowan's leg kicks. What did he do? He shot the puck.
Yeah.
And so actually in a shootout, you have a better chance to score via a shot than you do via deke. There's more variables that happen. So like they were actually going down and shooting the puck. Yeah, maybe they added a high kick. I mean, You remember not a couple of years ago, back in Decade of Darkness when Linus Omark did a spinorama at the blue line, and then he fake clappered and went 5-hole.
Yeah.
And everyone was in an uproar being like, oh my God, how dare he destroy the sanctity of this game. Man, he faked a slap shot and he went 5-hole. It's the same kind of idea.
And he did a twirl at center.
Yeah. So all that stuff was just a distraction and he ended up shooting the puck. It's the same thing with Cowan. Like, he shot the puck. He missed a shot.
Yeah.
And listen, we're all Canadian but it was a cool moment, man. Seeing that team celebrate, going into the room, Canada is still going to be okay. Like, it's round robin. They'll be fine, everyone. It's take your lumps now.
Yep.
But moments like this in sports are awesome to witness, man.
Yeah, 100%. They'll probably make a movie of it.
A Latvian masterpiece.
Latvian masterpiece.
Because they finished third in the World Championship, right?
Yeah.
And did you see the party they had at
big
Latvia?
time. Yeah.
Come on, boys.
Yeah.
They partied for like a week. They might party for a month now.
As they should. Big win for the Latvians over Canada, 3-2 in the shootout. Canada will bounce back against Germany. I'll call it right now. You guys defeated Russia 6-1 in that final. I was looking at the game stats. You were +1?
+1.
Nice.
You have Bergeron above you. And the lineup, like the reference from the game sheet, it almost looks like it's off. So I was like, oh, Belsey was +3. It was actually Bergeron was +3.
Who was your partner?
You were +1, though.
It was Coburn. Braden Coburn.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good team.
We had the job of shutting down Malkin.
Nice.
And then I think it was Weber and Footuff had the job of shutting down Ovechkin.
Success.
They knocked him out of the game.
Chris G says, Tommy, it would be nice to see the Rams beat your Cards tonight. Big game, eh?
Yes, big game.
Yeah.
I mean, the Cardinals are pretty much done. So enjoy, Chris G. You're on the flyaway to LA trip.
Oh, that's right.
Which is excellent. And enjoy all the games. Golden State versus the LA Clippers. You get the hockey game. I'm assuming if he's going to Rams Cardinals that he'll be at Ducks Oilers tomorrow. And that's going to be a great trip. So hopefully we get a little description and breakdown when you come back from it, and let us know how it goes. But enjoy it, my friend. Sunny LA, nothing like it. It's a wonderful place for sure, and you get to see a lot of great sports action. So Chris G, have fun. Good to hear you checking in, and we want to hear a breakdown of the entire trip. I'm going to also add this from Conroe, Texas. Says, Merry Christmas, and if Pod Colson makes Dry happy, I don't care what his numbers are, because a happy Dry is better than a pouty Dry any day. Touche.
Sure.
Why are you so pissy, Dry?
Oh, stop it. All right. It is the Oilers and the Kings, both teams trying to avoid having turkey legs as they make their return to action, having played last Sunday, Edmonton, a 3-1 win over the Ottawa Senators, and then the Caps defeated the Kings. So the Kings looking for a bit of a bounce back. First of 4 meetings between these two clubs. Big thank you to Dennis Bernstein from the fourth period for stopping by, giving us the Kings perspective. For Belsey and Nanso, I'm Tom, saying see you after the game.